It does require a lot of work. It does require a lot of sacrifice. And it doesn't matter if you're coming out of a single-parent household or, you know, a household where, you know, drugs are involved, domestic violence. We talk about all that in here. I mean, the first, half thing I'm talking about, the ratio of youth that are actually in prison and the advantages of coming out of a married household versus a single household. Now, my wife, came out of a single-parent household with domestic violence and domestic abuse there, but yet she's still overcome, and really just getting rid of all those excuses that we like to cling to and use to blame somebody else for why we're not where we want to be in life. But I think it's so important, this whole chapter on the disclaimer. Nobody really throws a disclaimer out and says, here's what this book is not. And I try to beat you up so bad that if you continue to read it, then you're definitely destined to read it. But really expecting, one of those instant things, the high 2 steps and make $1 million in the next 90 days, that's not what it is. It took me 13 years, making a whole bunch of money and losing almost twice as much to really figure out what it takes to really become successful and what's really valuable in life. And especially now, it's very different being a father, a husband, having 2 children of my own. It puts it all within a different perspective, but it's not an easy how-to guide. Just came on board directors for the Hip Hop Artists Commons Foundation, so working with youth, literacy, AIDS prevention as well. They're working with Millionaires in Training, which is a nonprofit organization that takes middle school students and teaches them about entrepreneurship. So we're trying to really reach out to young people at an early age. Youth are a very passion of mine. And somehow in 2008, I'm going to figure out how to get involved with children's advocacy, especially for children growing up in neglectful households.
Okay. Any questions from the
And also, before we take questions, I'd also like to thank my publisher, Wiley, definitely for giving us an opportunity.
Oh, there is your publisher right there.
Oh, man.
The chairman of the town about
we gotta talk afterwards. Wiley really took a risk and a gamble on me. They were the first publisher that actually came out and said, we're gonna take this kid's crazy story. It's been 13 years in the making, and Wiley said, this is something that we want to see out there, and they allowed to get the story out there. So I mean, we already came bestseller on CEO Read at Amazon.com a couple of times. So we're really looking forward to hitting bookstores and really getting a positive message out there that as a young African-American male especially, you don't have to rap, you don't have to act, you don't have to pay athletes to actually get the story of successes out there, not only for that particular group, but for everybody as well, that you can overcome and still be successful even at a young age. So whether you're 12 years old, 16, 25, 80 years old, really we can start removing the excuses and not only make our communities a better place, our homes, our families a better place, but also eventually, it may sound idealistic, but the world a better place as well. So I'd like to thank Wiley for allowing us to tell us that. The reason I started a video game company, I never intended to start a video game company. Technically, legally, wasn't even a company. It was just a business that happened because my parents didn't want to pay $49 and $50 for games. And my mom said, Ephren, why don't you go figure out how to make your own game? And I actually went out and tried to make a video game. I had a book that I bought in the back of the Borders bookstore, and it was how to make a video game in 21 days. Couldn't get any better than that. But I didn't know how to program. We didn't own a computer. I didn't know the math and logic went behind it. And on top of that, the book was $40. So after I convinced my parents to get the book, I read it, applied myself, stayed after school every day after basketball practice, and I read and applied that book. We started with $30. A friend's dad owns some hotels, loaned us $30, get the software and the code, and we kind of just went from there. When I started my internet company, I started with $250 that I saved up from doing websites and making other things like that. And when I was in 8th grade, I paid $4,000 to do a website. So I took what was my talent and I used it as a business venture. So everything that I pretty much have done so far, except for mainly the real estate, has been self-funded. Even when I first did my first house, it was funded independently. Banks still won't give me a loan because of the areas that I operate in. So for obvious reasons, that's why we go in first to revitalize them. Now they come in after we do all the work and then they'll win in that particular area. But it's always we've always been kind of the first out there. And I've always went out to private individuals, a lot of angel investors, private investors, and I've always backed me because they believed in me, they believed in the passion and conviction that we have for what we're doing, but they also believed in the cause and the plan. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, what stops them from getting funding is perseverance. One or two people will tell them no, that it won't work, and they'll stop asking. We tried to go open a bank account, and we weren't old enough to get one. They wouldn't give us a bank account, so parents had to co-sign for it. But we kept trying, kept receiving, with perseverance and really going after it, and that's what really worked for us, is perseverance. I mean, if you got to ask 100 banks, somebody's going to say yes eventually, but how many times are we willing to ask and get told no?
Any other questions? Don't be shy.
You have incredible sophistication, just uncanny. I know at 12 or 13 years old you had vision. Other than your father and your parents, were there other mentors in your life that gave you any types of incentive? Because your knowledge and sophistication for a 24-year-old is just incredible.
I am actually an experiment that works. The reason why I'm standing before you at 25 years old, I mean, just look at the chronicles of however you want to define success. If you want to go with the monetary standpoint, yes, you can categorize me as a success. Let's put that to the side. But if you want to categorize me, I'm married with kids. I'm married for 5 years in February. I got 2 young kids, a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old. But what really happened was you had the role models of my parents, which started from early on. My mom decided, well, she wasn't going to work, so she stopped working, actually, homeschooled me. So it gave me the ability to read and write because she really instilled that in us, via beating my knuckles with a pencil, the kitchen table. But I could read, write, and count to 100, and I could write in print and cursive. All my brothers could. And it's not that we're the brightest, because you put us on an IQ test, we are not ranking on the top category, but somebody took the time and energy. When I got into high school, they had a mentoring, an internship program. And so one of my mentors, I was working 80 hours a week as an intern at a business consulting firm. And the mentor, John Vanderwall, talked about him in the book. He was from South Africa, white South African, fought in the apartheid rebellion, the whole 9 yards. And he spent 80 hours a week with me, working with me on case studies, on businesses. So what I did was took all the mistakes that all these other entrepreneurs that we were auditing made, took all that knowledge that he was imparting in me, and it just allowed me to slingshot and accelerate out there. So I didn't have to go through all the trials and tribulations that everybody else did. I just went from straight point A to point Z and just getting it done. And I think that's one of the most valuable things. That's why I always advocate a mentor, because they provide so much knowledge. So he had been in business for 30 years. So that's 30 years of mistakes I didn't have to make. So I can just go from 3 months and just accomplish it. And I think that for me has been, almost priceless. There's those learning experiences that I had under his tutelage, and every year, there's always different mentors that you encounter, whether it's in business, spiritual, marital, however you want to categorize it. But tapping into that knowledge and experience that's been there allows me to really just to fast forward and accelerate past it.
Jazz Heritage Center.
I hope you will help us spread the word about what we're doing over here in San Francisco.
I just got drafted.
Yeah.